quarterbacks, the must-starts: Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees or Teddy Bridgewater. I listed both names because there's a possibility that Drew Brees could come back this week. If he doesn't, start Bridgewater. This is just a good matchup against the Cardinals. Our success rate for quarterbacks, a little bit above average, 66.2%. That's about 8 out of 12 each week that we guessed correctly. And our sleeper of the week, Jared Goff. With the exception of a couple games this year, Goff has been worthy of a fantasy football start. He's now facing a Bengals team that has allowed a quarterback to score 20 or more fantasy points in 3 straight weeks. The must-sits: Mitch Trubisky, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Allen, and Jacoby Brissett. And the bust of the week, Phillip Rivers. The Bears did a terrible job in stopping Teddy Bridgewater, but outside of that, they've allowed on average 10.7 fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. Rivers is a talented player, but he isn't quite at that level of being matchup proof. Running backs, the must-starts. Same scenario as Drew Brees and Teddy Bridgewater. James Conner is injured. He could come back, but if he doesn't, add Benny Snell off the waivers if he's still available. Le'Veon Bell, Chris Carson, Aaron Jones, and Marlon Mack. Our success rate for running backs, it's about average, 64%. That's about 7.7 out of 12 that we predict correctly each week. And the sleeper of the week, LaShawn McCoy. The thought was Damian Williams would resume his workhorse duties when he came back healthy. That hasn't been the case. In the last 2 weeks, McCoy has received double the amount of touches. McCoy looks to be the favorite for Andy Reid. The must-sits: David Montgomery, Ronald Jones, Frank Gore, Royce Freeman, and Jordan Howard. And the bust of the week, Chase Edmonds. Edmonds is worth the add off the waivers, but not worth the start this week. The Saints are top 5 in fewest fantasy points allowed to running backs. Given that David Johnson may have an increased role if he's healthy, Edmonds should be stashed onto the bench. Wide receivers, the must-starts: Golden Tate, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyler Lockett, Kenny Golladay, and DJ Chark. Our success rate isn't the best. It's a hard position to predict. 56.1%, that's about 6.8 out of 12 each week. And our sleeper of the week, John Brown. Brown has been a late draft steal for many fantasy owners, averaging 79 yards a game. This week, he's facing one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. He arguably has one of the best touchdown celebrations in the NFL, and don't be surprised if we see it again this Sunday. The must-sits: Tyler Boyd, Mecole Hardman, Jarvis Landry, Curtis Samuel, and Mike Williams. And the bust of the week, Alshon Jeffrey. Jeffrey hasn't had a terrible season this year, just a little inconsistent. He's a risky play this week against the Bills defense that has allowed only 1 touchdown to a receiver in their last 4 games. Austin Hooper, George Kittle, Jimmy Graham, Darren Waller, and Hunter Henry. Our success rate, 67.1%. That's about 8.1 out of 12 each week. And the sleeper of the week, Noah Fant. So this is a very deep sleeper, mainly for those that have Mark Andrews or Jason Witten on a bye. Odds are that Fant is available on the waivers. The Colts have been pretty generous at tight ends this year, and with this being such a thin position, you might be happy with Fant getting you maybe 4 or 5 receptions this week. The must-sits: TJ Hawkinson, Jack Doyle, Ricky Seals-Jones, Ryan Griffin, and Dallas Goedert. And the bust of the week, Greg Olsen. Olsen did a great job as an analyst during his bye week, but he's coming back to a tough matchup this week. The 49ers have allowed only 1 touchdown to a tight end all season. Kickers, the must-starts: Chris Boswell, Josh Lambo, Mason Crosby, Greg Zuerlein, and Will Lutz. Our success rate has been pretty good, 70.4%. That's about 8.4 out of 12 each week. And the sleeper of the week, Adam Vinatieri. Vinatieri has rebounded well since his early season struggles. He has a great matchup against the Broncos, who have allowed at least 3 field goal attempts in all but 2 games this year. The must-sits: Matt Bryant, Zane Gonzalez, Austin Seibert, Eddie Pinheiro, and Matt Gay. And the bust of the week, Jake Elliott. Here's an interesting stat. In 6 games this season, the Bills have given up a grand total of only 2 field goals in 6 games. Don't start Jake Elliott. Defense and special teams, the must-starts: the Steelers, Titans, 49ers, Rams, and the Patriots. Our success rate for defense isn't the best, but it is going up. 57.7%, that's about 7 out of 12 each week. And the sleeper of the week, the Carolina Panthers. You look at an undefeated team and you must think to yourself, dang, that quarterback must be playing out of his mind right now. Not quite. The 49ers run game has been good, but Jimmy Garoppolo has thrown an interception in every game except one. The Panthers defense has 9 interceptions in 6 games. The must-sits, the Giants, Cardinals, Browns, Jets, and the Eagles. And the bust of the week, the Kansas City Chiefs. Believe it or not, Kansas City is a top 10 fantasy defense this season. More casual players may look at that and add the Chiefs off the waivers, but if you watch them play, there are plenty of holes both against the run and the pass. Against a good Packers offense, I wouldn't start the Chiefs.